What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for December 1st, 2022. Yes, it is December. It is officially the countdown to Christmas. We started our Christmas countdown. We have a little Christmas tree that hangs on the one door and has a little Santa head, and you put his number on for each day. Biggest argument we had today was who gets odd and who gets even, but we came out of that pretty unscathed, so we'll take it and we'll move on. Wanted to correct something I said yesterday by mistake when I was talking about the owner of the Sixers when he bought the team right before he traded. I incorrectly said Sam Katz, and it's Harold Katz was the Sixers owner. Sam Katz was a politician in the city of Philadelphia who ran for mayor twice as a Republican, almost beat John Street the one election. So if you're in Philadelphia or lived in Philadelphia, that's probably a good mistake, or not. I shouldn't say a good mistake, but probably a common mistake that you would make because Sam Katz, there, as far as I know, they are no relation. But Harold Katz was the owner of the Sixers who bought the team after the '81 season and approved the trade for Moses Malone and everything. So I just wanted to make sure I corrected that because I listened back and I was like, wait a minute, Sam Katz was the guy that ran for mayor. So I think he actually ran for governor, but this is not a politics show. Anyway, Sixers got absolutely destroyed. They had won four in a row coming in. So it's not bad to lose. I think it's just the way they lost. I mean, they just had a clunker, and Cleveland came out and they were shooting lights out. I was flipping between that and the Sixers, or that and the Temple games. So I didn't really see the first half, but it was almost like 30 points at halftime or 20 points at halftime. So I kind of had a little eye on it in the second half, but it just seemed like everybody was lights out. But help is on the way. James Harden apparently is in line to come back Monday. So we're going to keep going with that. And it's not bad. Like I said, it's not bad to lose to Cleveland. It's just, I think, the way they did. But it's the NBA. Those games happen. And I think had it been their fifth loss in a row, then I think you'd be concerned. But I think you just chalk it up to a shitty performance by the Sixers, an outstanding performance by the Cavaliers, and we just move on. Speaking of those Temple Owls, they won going away against LaSalle, who they were almost, I think, or a couple times they were down 10 or 12 points even in the second half, and then just went on a run and blew Fran Duffy's team out. It was pretty cool because I watched the second half with my son, who was really, really into it. Every play, like yelling at the refs for calling fouls, like, what are you doing? So that was pretty cool to see. And trying to explain to him, and I don't think it got through, but at least now the seeds are planted. It was actually really cool because it was a Big Five doubleheader, so they were playing at the Palestra, trying to explain to him just kind of the Big Five history, how they're right down the street. And he's like, oh, that's pretty cool. LaSalle and Temple are right down the street. So hopefully we're getting some of those Philly seeds planted early in him. My daughter couldn't have cared less. But he did point out, because the UPenn sign was on center court, and he was like, oh, that's where mommy works. So we're starting to make some of those connections, which is pretty cool. He has his basketball skills assessment on Saturday, where I guess they try to space out and even out the teams. So he's super excited about that. He's been playing outside when he's not been sick, which in this house the past 3 weeks has been pretty rare for one of us not to be sick. So hopefully we're on the way back. However, today we're going to go back to 1974. We're going to talk a little Flyers. So on this day, December 1st, 1974, the Flyers, who were the defending champs, beat the Kansas City Scouts. Yeah, Kansas City Scouts. No, this isn't a slap shot reference. There was a team called the Kansas City Scouts. They beat them 10-0 down at the Spectrum. It was the second game of a 12-game unbeaten streak for the Flyers. Bill Barber and Ross Lonsberry scored 2 goals each. Bobby Clarke had 4 assists and a goal. In total, 8 Flyers scored a goal in that game. So it was just a all-out rout. I think it was one of those things where you had a shitty team who I believe, and I don't know the real story, but they were only like in their second or third year in Kansas City. So I don't know if they were an expansion team or somebody or another team moved from somewhere else to Kansas City. And the Flyers were just dominant. But more about that 12-game unbeaten streak. They entered the day, December 1st, tied for first place in the Patrick division. Along with that 12-game unbeaten streak, they would go 10-1-2 in the month of December, including 7-0 at the Spectrum. So they just went through December and they were dominant. So they ended the year, December 31st, with a 13-point lead in the division. So they had a plus 13 points in the month of December. That's just how good this team was. And then they just rode that momentum the rest of the way. They won their second straight Stanley Cup. Unfortunately, it was their last one. But on this day in 1974, the Flyers beat the Kansas City Scouts 10-0. No, this is, like I said, this is not Slapshot. But they would end up going on and finishing the month of December with a 13-point lead after coming in tied. So pretty cool. Unfortunately, they have not won a Stanley Cup since. Hopefully with a lot of what's going on, and we're going to get into, and I don't know because everybody's been sick, whether the Back to the Future is going to be able to be recorded tonight or it might be a Friday night special. I don't know. But I want to get into this whole idea of tanking for better draft picks to improve your team and things like that. So more on that to come, because a big difference between the 1974 Flyers, who were the defending Stanley Cup champions and just dominating, and this year's Flyers, who are, I wouldn't even call what they're doing right now in a rebuild. They're sort of in a reevaluation, seeing where they are, and they're like a step behind rebuilding, I would almost think. But on this day, 1974, which was like 40, almost 50 years ago, 48 years ago, they beat the Kansas City Scouts 10-0. Now, more on the quick thing on the Kansas City Scouts. They would later, a couple years later, move to Colorado to become the Colorado Rockies. Not those Rockies, but the Hockey Rockies. I like that, the Hockey Rockies. But then they played there for a couple years, and in 1982, you might know them today better as the New Jersey Devils. So there's your little geography/history lesson on NHL teams and where they came from and how they got their names. The New Jersey Devils at one point were in Kansas City, moved further west to Colorado to become the Rockies, and then came back east to become the Jersey Devils. And that's one to grow on. But everybody, have a Thursday. Happy December. Get your Christmas shopping done. It definitely felt like December on my run this morning, so we're loving what's going on here with the weather. Big sports weekend coming up between college basketball, the Eagles, you got the Sixers, Flyers, you got the World Cup on Saturday. It's just great weekend. Like, I'm almost on overload. So there's a lot of good college basketball games. I'm excited. So go have yourselves a Thursday. Stay warm, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.